Hello YouTube, and welcome to another one of my vacuum cleaners. This is going to be a look at one of my older machines today, and as you can probably guess already, yes, it's the Hoover Junior. This is a model I got not long ago off eBay. Didn't cost me very much, just drive over to Market Drayton to fetch it from where I live in Stoke. This machine, I think, what did I pay for this? About £15. It wasn't very much at all. There wasn't much interest on it because it was a self-collect only. I had to go over and fetch it. But yeah, it's actually in pretty good nick considering how old it is. This machine dates from 1970, so it's just coming on now for 44 years old. 44 years old this year, this machine. It's actually the model of Hoover Junior that would have been current, that would have been in the shops in my year of birth in 1972. So this is rather a significant model for me, for the collection. I have got other Juniors upstairs, but this is one in particular I did want in this colour scheme. In like the teal green colour, because it was out in the very early 70s, and it would have been, like I say, what people were buying when I was born. I can't believe really that this machine is actually is older than me. The condition it's in, it's remarkably good. It's gone a little bit faded now over the years. It's gone a little bit more of an ivory colour than white. Maybe that's how it would have been originally, I don't know. But yeah, it is a model 1346A, and this was the second type of 1346 to come out using this design. Okay, the first one, the first 1346 would have come out in 1967 when it replaced 1334. That one I actually do have upstairs, and I'll probably do a review on that one in due course. Very similar to this. It's a pumpkin and seal greyish, I think the colour was, they called that, the original 1346. And this one was launched in 1970 in this style, and it had a few small what should we say, improvements, variations on the original Junior. But this one had what was called the height right adjustment, which was this little dial here. And what it meant is that you could adjust the front wheels up to 4 different height settings for different piles of carpets, varying thickness of carpet. Previously, on the older Juniors, what you would have had to have done was to operate the wheels underneath here for the 2 settings that they had. But Hoover decided that they would add this mechanism on the side here to make it easier to adjust to the carpet length. On the bottom of here we have the rating sticker, and it says 1346 001 71297. The 001 part means it was 1970 January, so this is right from the start of the 70s. This is one of the very, very earliest ones of the 1346A, and as you can see, it is all original. I think it's I'm not sure whether it's got the original power cable. I'm assuming it has. I don't think it has the original plug though. That's definitely been replaced at some time or other, but I think the cable's still the original, in white. It had the green, the teal green bag and the teal green front here. Over the years, the Junior 1346, it changed slightly, but usually they put a new coloured bag on it and a new colour belt cover on. Now this machine was very, 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 very popular in its day. A lot of people would have owned a Hoover Junior back in the 70s and the 60s. They were hugely popular machine. Seniors were around at the time. In the early 70s it would have been the 652, 652A I should say. And they were very, very expensive to buy back in those days. It wasn't like today where you go into Asda or Argos and spend 30 or 40 quid on a cheap cleaner. These were the equivalent in today's money of about £400. You know, they were very, very expensive. So people in those days, they had these cleaners and they tended to make them last as long as possible, and they would also take them to the repair shop to have them repaired when they went wrong. This wasn't the time when people used to buy things and throw them away when the belt broke, like they do today. You'd go to your vac shop, you'd buy a belt for it, you'd buy the bags for it, you'd take it to your vac shop to get serviced, and these would last people years and years. If the motor went wrong, you'd have it repaired. So this style of Junior ran until the mid-70s, about 1976, until it was replaced by the very similar looking model, but it was a top fill instead of a bottom fill bag. I forget what the model number of that one is, U1016. I can't remember, to be quite honest, what the replacement model number was for this one. But in around about 1972-73, I think they would have changed the colour of it here to navy blue, and it would have a blue bag. So the 1346A, as it was, had a run of about 6 years before it was changed. Very light machine, picked that up very, very easily, so that's another reason why they were so popular. It was also a very, very low wattage rated machine. I think it was only 250 watts. Let's just have another check. Yes, it was a 250 watt machine. And it was made in Great Britain, as was most Hoovers in those days. The casing on the bottom here, the main chassis, was made of metal, and the actual case was made of plastic. It had a very, very, very good quality brush roll there. If I just bring it up to the camera. So as we can see there, these were the Hoovers that used to beat as they swept, as they cleaned. You can see here the row of bristles there, and as we turn that round, there you can see the very famous and classic beater bar. These are the bars here that used to beat the carpet, and they would make that low, deep drone against the carpet as they were doing so. That it was synonymous with Hoovers of the time. The seniors would have done it, juniors did it. It beats as it sweeps as it cleans, and these were the machines that was named after. They weren't very powerful, but at the end of the day they would be sufficient enough to get people's carpets clean. They didn't come with any built-in tools or anything. This was a very, very traditional machine. If you wanted the tools with it, you'd have to buy them extra. These were the tools. Now these are the tools that came with my 1346 from 1967. But I believe they used these tools for a very long time, and they would have been the ones that went with this machine. I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong, but they do fit the machine. And what we would do to fit the tools, as you can see there, that is a complete toolkit there for a Hoover Junior. And when I picked up a cleaner with that toolkit, I was rather pleased, because it's, again, the tools are in good condition. You had a rod, aluminium rod there, very lightweight. A dusting brush, the bristles on there, very good quality that. Crevice tool, standard length crevice tool there. They were all pip fit in those days. No friction fit. You had your belt lifter converter there. I'll show you how that works in a sec. And you have the hose itself. Just put that box here to one side. So here we are. These tools are 1967, 47 years old, this set of tools. 47 years old, and they still look like new. They look fantastic for their age. It just goes to show what brilliant quality Hoover made in those days. This is actually a very slight stretch hose there. It wouldn't get up the stairs, but then again you wouldn't need to. You just take this up to the top and work down. So you work halfway up and then you take to the top of the stairs and you work down from the top. Now this is very, very similar to the Kirby. The way this worked is that if you wanted to use the tools, what you would have to do is take the front off like so. That would reveal your belt inside there and your spindle. You can see the motor in there as well. What you do is you put your belt lifter on the front, like that. Hold it in position, and just like on a Kirby, you twist all the way around. That is quite stiff because I've just put a brand new belt in here. Very, very tight fitting, that belt at the moment. So that now would actually lift the belt off the spindle, much as you do on a Kirby when you're removing the belt lifter. Then what you do is you would simply slot the tools into the front like so. And there we would have the tools for the machine on the end of here. Okay, and they would just click in. And it was now converted for above floor use. So, you know, you had a reasonable length of hose with it. It was very heavy, this hose as well. That was that good quality. It was a really heavy hose. So you could go around here, you could dust your furniture with it and do whatever you needed to do above floor. There's your crevice tool down there. You could also use this as an upholstery brush because it was that sort of shape. So it was like a bit of a two-in-one tool really. It was a dusting brush and an upholstery brush. But there we go. Those were the tools that you got with it. And again, if you wanted them, you'd have to pay extra for them. That removed easily by pressing the button, pulling it out, turn the belt lifter and remove, and it put the belt back on. Simple as that. But a little bit more fiddly and a little bit more inconvenient though, I think you'd say, than today's modern cleaners. The senior at the time didn't used to use that type of tool converter. On the 652A, it would have been a converter that used to push in from the back underneath, and you'd just slot that in and you'd use your tools from there, but they weren't as efficient. They weren't as efficient as this type. Because with the senior, the 652, the belt actually stayed on the spindle at the time, so there was always a big hole in the converter which used to leak suction. So even though the cleaner was a more powerful unit than the Junior, I don't think that they would have had as much suction. Now I have got 652s upstairs and a Hoover Ranger, Senior Ranger. Unfortunately I haven't got the tools for it though, so I've got no way of comparing, but other people have done videos on YouTube of it. So I suppose you're wanting to hear what it sounds like. But first we'll just have a quick look at the bag system here. On this machine, it was a zip bag, as you can see here. Just take it from the bottom. And there. Now this was the bag that came on it when I got it, which was nearly empty. That's a genuine yellow Hoover bag there. It is, I believe, a H1. These bags used to fit onto a stub here on the bottom, and you'd have a rubber belt that used to go up there and hold them on. When you came to change it, you pull it down like so, slide the belt, slide the rubber belt. I don't know whether the camera can see that or not, being low down. You would slide off the belt. I'm not going to do it because there's dirt in this bag and I don't want to get it absolutely everywhere, but basically you'd slide that down, take the bag off, put a new bag on and slide that rubber belt back over the bag there. It was as simple as that, but you know, it wasn't the cleanest. In the bottom here you've got your rubber bellows. Again, these were the old cleaners, were problem areas. They were known to split over time. I don't know whether this has got the original bellows on, but they're not split or anything. As I say, it is in remarkably good condition for a machine that is so old. It makes you wonder where these things have been all these years. It's been locked up in somebody's cupboard or somewhere, or in somebody's loft, or you just never know where they are, where they've been. So there we go. That was how it used to do. A bag. Very, very simple machine. Very simple. So if we just plug it in. There was no quick release with these cords. These wouldn't swivel around. They're also made of metal as well rather than plastic. That's why they're still on the machine now and they haven't snapped off, because they're metal. So we would uncoil our cable. On this machine it is no more than about 5 to 6 metres long, very, very short. You wouldn't get 10 metre cables back in those days. Plug it in like so. Now I have it set on the height setting of number 2. So it's number 1 for the short pile, number 4 for the longest pile, and I have it on number 2. And here we go. So there we go. They weren't the noisiest of machines, but they weren't the most powerful either. You might have heard at the beginning there, that little bit of grit that now fell out the bottom, continually rattling around in the front there because it didn't have enough power to get that grit up to the fan. So you know, they'd get fine dust and everything out, but they weren't that brilliant. The heavier bits of grit, cat litter, anything like that, that was, they found that a lot more difficult. And it was because of the layout in the front here, is that the dirt would have to go a long way from the brush roll here right up here. On here you've got the brush roll at the bottom, but the inlet to the fan is just there. So the dirt would have to go from here all the way up there, and they just sometimes didn't have the power or the suction to be able to get that heavy dirt right up into there. We'll just have a quick demo with the tools on. So again, nice and easy to do. And a belt lifter. Like that. And there we go, that is what most people would have had to do their cleaning with in the early 70s. And believe me, that is not an awful lot of suction on that hose. When you think about what today's machines give, the intense suction power they have on the end of there, this machine would never drive a turbo brush. It wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that modern cleaners can. But with the new EU regulations now coming in and taking the power of vacuum cleaners right back down again, modern day cleaners now are going to be approaching the sort of power that this had. Some of them are going to be as low as 580 watts, 600 watts, 700 watts. This was 250. So, you know, whilst they're going to still stay clean air design, we're going to be going back down again. But this would have been in virtually every single house in the 70s. Most people would have had a Hoover Junior at some time in their lives. You know, people that are in the 60s now, they'd remember these. I remember it because my grandma used to have one. When I used to go around, I used to see it in her downstairs bathroom. And there it was with the blue bag on the back. It was the next version after this one. But for me to have something here that was in the shops for sale when my mother gave birth to me, you know, it's like it really does wind the clock back. And this is what the fun is of having machines this old, is that it just reminds you of a bygone era, of what it was like all those years ago. The Hoover Junior. Absolutely massive in its day, but by today's standard it won't really clean very well. It'll do okay on carpets, but it won't get that grit up, as we can see there. And if you notice as well, when I had the hose on, the dirt went down here, the grit, and it hit the fan. You could hear it pinging as it hit the metal fan inside there. So let's just take this off. And you can see inside there that yes, it was a metal fan. And what I do now before I store the machine away is just to take the belt off. I never store vintage cleaners with the belts on. It just stretches the belts and then makes them useless. So there we go. Let's just put the cover back on. Check the time there as well, because I'm on a half-hour video. How many other people could sit and talk for half an hour about Hoover Junior? There we go. But yeah, it's a lovely old machine, this is, considering its age and the condition it's in. I think all credit to the people that's had this before me, because they really did look after it. And when I think what would some Dysons look like when they're 44 years old, I dread to think. There we go. A very, very classic old Hoover, this, from the Hoover rolls. The Hoover of yesterday. Now I don't give this a standard rating, like I do with other cleaners, more modern ones. This, you can't rate, you can't give it a 9 or 10 or whatever out of 10, because it is so old now. And you just can't compare a machine of this age and this vintage with more modern cleaners today to be giving it a rating. But I still say it remains one of my favourite cleaners of yesteryear, the Hoover Junior. And this one in particular because he was the model around when I was born. So there we go. A little look there at the Hoover Junior 1346A from 1970. So from me and the Hoover Junior, I'll say goodbye for now.